Hey everyone, this video is going to be a quick instructional video on integrating IFTTT with webCoRE. Basically, more so specifically to integrate Alexa with webCoRE through IFTTT. So what you're going to do is start off by opening up your dashboard, and we're going to basically create a piston and an IFTTT applet that allows you to tell Alexa anything you want to tell her and have it run a webCoRE piston. So the first thing you're going to do, come into your webCoRE dashboard and create a new piston, or if you have an existing piston, you can do it in there too, but the point is just you need to be working with a piston. So let's create a blank piston. Let's call this piston IFTTT test. Sorry, fat fingers. You can turn it on automatic backup or not. I'm not doing that for this. So now we have a brand new piston. Come over here, execute, add a statement, add an if block, add a condition. So basically all we're going to do is say if something happens, then execute a command. We are going to say what to compare. We're going to choose a virtual device. This is where you're going to find IFTTT. And right there, click on that. You're going to leave executes. There is no other trigger. And value. This is where you're going to type in whatever value you want specifically to call the trigger itself. This is almost like a variable name in webCoRE. This does not have to be what you specifically tell Alexa. So you could say, tell Alexa, good night, Dave. Let's use that as our example. You could put GND in here, or you can put good night, Dave. For the sake of continuity, I'm going to type good night, Dave. So now that you type this in, when you type it in, you're going to notice that this URL down here just got the value you added into the compare field. So now, once you've done that, copy this URL, hit add. Now, for the sake of this, we're going to leave this alone for a minute. I'm just going to save it so it doesn't somehow get screwed up or the computer reboot itself or whatever while you're working on stuff. This is just a good practice. When you walk away from the dashboard, just hit save. You're going to come over here to your IFTTT dashboard. So again, this is just your applets. You're going to find we don't have any here, so it's just going to be blank. Otherwise, it would list all of your applets that you've currently created or you've previously created. I'm going to create a new one. And for the sake, again, of this, I am going to be creating an Alexa command to webCoRE. So we're going to use the Alexa integration with the plus this, select that. And let's narrow it down so we don't have to search all over the place scrolling through. Alexa. All right, so you can have it do any one of a whole bunch of different things. If your alarm goes off, your timer goes off, yada, yada, yada. But for the sake of this, I'm going to use a custom phrase. So what phrase would you like to use? Again, I'm going to, for the sake of continuity, with what I labeled in webCoRE, I'm going to label it here, good night, Dave. Create that trigger. Now that that's filled in, you're going to see select plus that. This is your action. This is where I'm going to have it talk to webCoRE. That's through an intermediate service, formerly called the Maker channel. Now it's called webhooks. So type in webhooks. If you happen to remember Maker, you're going to come over here and you're going to see Wemo Maker. That's not the right thing. So again, webhooks. Select webhooks. This is the only action available, which is to make a web request. Now, that URL that you copied from the webCoRE dashboard when you were selecting the Goodnight Dave trigger, that URL is going to go here. So, paste it. Come down, you're going to leave method, or actually method to get, and select content type, application, JSON. Create action. Now, your trigger is complete, or your trigger and action are complete in an applet. Me personally, I usually turn off notifications. Some things you may want notification on when they run, but this would come through your IFTTT notifications, your app. So leave it on, turn it off if you want to. Me personally, I turn it off. Click Finish. That is now created. So as you can see, if you say, Alexa, trigger Goodnight Dave, then it will make the web request. That web request will come into IFTTT, and when it sees that, or sorry, into webCoRE, when webCoRE sees that, it will trigger whatever you want in your piston to happen. So let's just say we want to create an action, then add an action. Let's turn some lights off. So let's go master bedroom lights, office lights, and guest bedroom lights. Add a task. Let's turn those off. Then we're going to, let's say when you go to bed, you want to add a couple more things. Shouldn't have done that. Let me delete that. You're going to add another action. Let's say you want your outside lights to turn on. So choose outside lights, turn on, and your last action, let's lock the door. So click action, front door deadbolt. Add task, select lock. Great. Now we've built our piston. This is, again, a really simple example of what you might do when you go and say, Alexa, trigger Goodnight Dave. It's going to send that command. It is going to execute this piston as follows, turning off your guest bedroom, master bedroom, and office lights. It's going to turn on your outside lights and lock your front door deadbolt. So now that we have saved that piston, once you trigger that phrase, it will work. There is another way to add the URL. So the URL that we got in here from here, this is one of two URLs you can use to trigger the actual piston to happen. The other way is slightly different. So I'm going to go ahead and cancel this because I didn't modify it, hit back. So this is where we're going to find the other URL. You're going to come into Options, Settings, click on Integrations, and then down here, Executing Pistons, you're going to have a webCoRE execute endpoint. This is very similar to the other URL, except it's going to use a piston ID instead of a piston name. If you notice down here at the end, it has piston ID with a colon. So what you're going to do is copy this. Let's hit cancel. We're going to open up the piston itself again. Now, if you notice, inside of the colon, or essentially the colons bracket the piston ID. So what you're going to do is sit there and let's paste that in here. Now over here on the end, you're going to see piston ID still within the colons. Let's just delete that. We'll delete those couple of colons there and bring it right up to the piston ID. So now you'll see execute colon. It has the piston itself, the ID of the piston itself with a colon following. Now this URL, if you were to copy it and go into IFTTT, you can use that URL instead. They both do the same thing. It's 6 of one, half a dozen of another. However, this way requires a few extra steps, and it's possible you might accidentally not delete one of the colons and something's not working. So the recommended way would be, again, use the locally safe. There we go. Click on your trigger and copy the URL here. This is easier, but for the sake of full disclosure and how you can do anything you want to do, that's the other way. In any case, I hope this video helps everybody. This is the easiest way you could do triggers with Alexa to webCoRE. All you got to do is sign up an IFTTT account. The delay is about a second, maybe two. So I don't have an Alexa hooked up to our webCoRE virtual dashboard to be able to trigger actions, nor could you see them in the video anyway. But I could tell you from my own personal experience using this at home that when I run my goodnight routine, it usually takes about a second, maybe two, before everything happens. So it's not a lot of latency, but obviously, you know, you're going through the Amazon backend, the Amazon cloud, the IFTTT cloud, coming to webCoRE and then executing it via SmartThings. It does happen pretty quick, but again, remember, there is a very small delay that you will see. Again, 1 to 2 seconds is pretty typical. Hope this helps, and please go ahead and like this video, whether it's on YouTube or on the webCoRE community forums, or both. We'd appreciate it. Any feedback you have, please go ahead and comment below in the webCoRE community forums page that you saw this video on. If there's any clarifications that you need, again, please ask away. We're happy to help.